moderator for this discussion is Mr. Amit Sharma, Director, Ernst & Young. Mr. Amit Sharma is one of the key members of core group of those professionals who significantly contributed to embark smart metering and smart grid journey in India from its early days. May I request Mr. Amit Sharma to please come on stage. I would also like to call upon the panelists for this discussion. Mr. Abhijit Patil, Assistant Vice President, Adani Electricity Mumbai Limited. Mr. Abhijit Patil has experience of more than 19 years using SCADA system. During his tenure, he has been responsible for functioning of SCADA and DMS at AEML. Mr. Santosh Kumar Jain, DGM, NRLDC POSOCO, CIGRE member, GRIID India. Mr. Santosh Kumar Jain has 26 years of experience in Indian power sector, out of which 21 years has been in power grid and 5 years and on in POSOCO. Mr. Neeraj Bisht, Engineering Leader, Turnkey Digital Projects GTND India Limited. Mr. Bisht has 24 years of experience in power sector, especially in grid automation segment. He has made significant contribution in delivering SCADA, EMS, DMS projects in various geographies outside India as well. Mr. Sombuddha Chaudhury, Head IT, Tata Power Delhi Distribution Limited. Do we have Mr. Chaudhury here? Okay. He's an experienced professional with a demonstrated history of working in the utilities industry. Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, Senior VP Strategy and Head Utilities and Retail Renew Power. Mr. Abhishek has about 2 decades of experience in power and information technology sectors in India. He is currently leading a team in the areas of energy efficiency and demand side management, renewable integration, and rooftop solar grid level energy storage solutions, EV charging infrastructure, power scheduling, and demand forecasting and energy analytics at BSES Rajdhani Power Limited, New Delhi. I would like to call upon Dr. Shivani Sharma, Principal Technical Consultant, Power Consulting, Hitachi Energy, India. She is a seasoned professional engineer who has been working extensively since more than 16 years in the energy industry and smart grids. She has experience of projects spread over geographies, India, USA, Singapore, Germany, UK, UAE. She is actively associated in the core committee of many professional forums. Mr. Vikram Ganotra, IEEMA, National Executive Council Member and Head Utilities, Sales and Strategy, Siemens Limited. He is an accomplished professional with extensive experience in the power transmission and distribution sector, particularly digitalization applications for power utility. So we can start with the discussion, please.
Many thanks, Urushi. Many thanks, Urvashi. In fact, that is a great introduction. Thanks for everyone for making your gracious presence on this occasion. This Digital India, Digital Utility India. So it gives me 2 words, digital and utility, which are very important words for kick-starting this session. There has been a pre-COVID area and the post-COVID era in the Discom, and how things have changed, which will make a stage for all other future initiatives in changing the lives of Indians, especially the people who are connected with the utility one. The perennial problem with the utility has been 2. Now, number 1, the lack of digital intervention. So the first word of Digital Utility India, it is about the lack of digital or technology intervention so far in the utility. And the other one, where is the fund? Where is the fund to take upon digital or technology intervention in with Indian utility, considering all the utilities are facing financial challenges for X, Y, Z reasons, which are known to us. So important point, what COVID has given us, I'll say the positive point, that the utilities which could have handled or which were well established with the technological penetration deep down, they were able to handle the challenges of COVID in a much better position compared to the other utilities. So thus, we start our today's first session on Digital Utility India on this hypothesis that technology will make a trailblazer impact on the utility going forward. And I'll say that we are fortunate enough to have this extreme elite list of panelists from different walks of industries, from the solutions owners, from the think tanks. These experts, I won't be asking that what they are doing or what's their view on this. I'll be asking them the questions which are relevant towards what is the future for us, what we are lying with their expertise, and which will make an impact, much bigger impact to the utility. We always talk about the distribution management system, and it's a long-term view, how this advanced distribution management system will make a turnaround in the sector. So with the start of this, I'll start from my rightmost one. Every panelist, just a quick two minutes insight on how this distribution management system, or I'll say advanced, will make an impact on the utility going forward.
Good morning, everyone. So as the topic is ADMS, so I'll just set a bit of context here. So ADMS is Advanced Distribution Management System. So this word or this solution or is there for quite some time already. And what does it mean and what it covers? So basically, we know in the utility segments or all these power sector energy segments, so some oldest solutions which came into picture or which were there, it started from PLC and SCADA, which are, I think, multiple decade old. So they started with some power plants and process industries and all those. And then slowly when things started and technology started evolving, then it came into the transmission segment, and I think the conceptualized in late 90s, and but the grid modernizations or the solution implemented started in early 2000 when ULDC scheme came first time, when our all regional and state load dispatch centers was created. So then SCADA, and then on top of those SCADA, when this came into the transmission segment, then power system applications also came along with the SCADA. So it were more matured solution than the previous one when there was SCADA. Similarly, then after this transmission segment, then parallelly in I think early 2000, 2002, then we started, as an industry, started thinking about the distribution solutions, but no technology partners or solution partner had any mature product. So they started with some distribution applications, and there was a SCADA, segregated SCADA, some distribution applications, then some intermediate terms, IDMS, integrated distribution management system came, and now finally it lands up to ADMS. So I consider this A part, advanced, is like an open-ended definition, which will cater any technology which is present today and which is ready to accommodate any technology which comes in future. So that is the ADMS. And now what ADMS all covers. So basically, if you see the ADMS, how it can help. So it is some basic SCADA function, some distribution management functions that will have some analysis function for the network part, and the optimization functions which can help to optimize, increase our efficiency and the deliverables as a distribution system operator, right? And then lot of other perimetry solutions keep on coming, so which together makes this advanced distribution management system. For instance, these AMI solutions, customer information systems, billing systems, GIS systems, then you have historical data because the real-time system is a snapshot of data, it's just instance. So you have to keep this data for longer period in case you want some analysis in the future. And you have to present reports to the decision maker, the historical system, and slowly, all futuristic technology adding up to it and making it an advanced distribution management system. And recent days, the renewal is also one of the challenge, so which ADMS should cater to. So that's how ADMS can, solve some utilities, problems. Thanks, Neeraj.
Yeah. Good morning again. Actually, what Neeraj sir was telling, I will be talking about the perspective of the grid. Basically, what PMU, SCADA, WAMs, etc. My co-panelist was talking about that. It is already in place at grid management level. So, whenever we are envisioning the grid management, we are carrying out 4 functions basically. We need to plan the operations. So, and secondly, we are giving the scheduling and dispatch analysis, and we are carrying out the scheduling and dispatch in the term ahead, day ahead, and month ahead. That way we are planning. And then comes the real-time operation, and that is the really big challenge. And fourthly, we are going for that post-dispatch analysis. And from grid perspective, it is already in place. It is just to replicate that model in the distribution system. So that is very easy. We can learn from there. And in operational planning, we are taking the consent of all the stakeholders. In OCC meetings, we are planning a month ahead, day ahead. And after that, in real-time operation, whatever problems are being faced, we are carrying out the real-time analysis. In that, we are carrying out the contingency analysis. And if we want to give any shutdown in the real time, then we plan that we have that power system simulator and real-time contingency analysis. Seeing that, we can replicate the entire model over there, and we can see that after tripping of particular line, what is the sensitivity of other line. That means if at all some load loss is there, then how this load will be transferred to other lines. So in certain cases, N-1 contingency we are taking care, and the grid is dynamic always, and distribution system is also dynamic. So a new N-1 contingency is being created. So again, after that we are having a special protection scheme. In case you are having multiple trippings in a particular area, then automatically our that protection will give you that some lines will be tripped, some generation will be curtailed. So that way, in real time also, we are managing a lot. And after that, whenever some fault happens, so we have event loggers, disturbance recorders, etc. So we analyze better than the substation in which the tripping has occurred. We have all the data of any substation at our grid operational level. Continuously, we are getting the forecasting also, demand forecasting, load forecasting, and generation forecasting. Everything is in place. So my only point is that we can take the learnings from the grid management level, and we can replicate the same thing. And again, he told about RE. Basically, as per my consent or my experience, RE is doable, and definitely a cautious approach is required, and prior planning is required. So that I will talk afterwards, but RE is a big challenge, and we are handling it, and beyond 30%, our studies said that it will be very critical for our grid. Right now we are in that, coming in that band. So definitely in coming years, learnings are always happening, and dynamism is always there in the grid. So we need to tackle that. We cannot go with the set procedures like standard operation philosophy or something like that. We need to change our philosophy on the daily basis, even on the hourly basis. So that dynamism definitely will come in the distribution system. in distribution system there will be more actors, but here we are having fixed actors, and that smart meter already they are in place because we are having special energy meters since long back. So all the things we can take learnings from the grid management and we can replicate. That's my take.
In fact, sir, you have given me a next possible question. What Manu sir has just mentioned, that without data, if you are monitoring anything, it is like going to casino just to try your luck. So I'll come back with this question in the next round. Yeah.
Thank you, Amith ji. I think, only representative of distribution utility in this panel. And first of all, I would like to mention that we have an experience of working with few of the ADMS products available in the market, and I must say, all of them are beautiful products. They definitely give the value for their money. But still, I want to bring a notice to the comment made by our moderator, Mr. Amith. Utilities are lacking the digitizations. So now we should ask the question ourselves as a utility, why digitization is on the back foot in the utilities. Maybe because we haven't set the benchmarking practices for the digitization. There have been multiple rounds of RAP, DRP and IPDS projects in this country that have been funded by government. But what were the benchmark deliverables for the projects? Where the reliability is accounted, improvement in the losses figure was accounted. That also has to be taken into the picture when we discuss about the digitization effects. Any project should have ideally reflection upon the income expenditure statement of the company. Being the Discoms, these are considered as continuously loss-making utilities or entities. Any projects of capital value has to have a reflection upon income expenditure statement. Secondly, what is the value addition it is bringing to me as a utility and to my consumers? ADMS is a beautiful product. It will give the consumers the information about its outages, improve upon reliability if implemented correctly, or for that matter, if it is used correctly by the utility personnel. After all, it is just a product. Product is as good, or tool is as good as its user is. So you can, excuse me, nobody becomes Sachin Tendulkar buying just MRF bat. You have to have a skill to use that product. Utilities need to undertake the skill development program to effectively use the digitization, digital products available. And lastly, I would comment that ADMS has a very huge horizon, right from the operating the grid switches to integrating customer services, and maybe probably, as the discussion might include, the inclusion of smart meter data. But all that thing you may not get in a single package. And you may get a modular product. We have to find ways to integrate these functionalities with each other, and maybe we can specify the responsibilities and accountability for each of the partner involved. For coming to the topic of my question, how the utility can choose the right ADMS product. For utility like us, where the loss figures are at 7%, SAIDI figures at one of the, I can proudly say, one of the best in this world of 22 minutes that we have achieved in financial year 22. Choosing a product which will add a value to my business as well as my consumers is definitely a challenge. But we are working on it, and hopefully we'll be going forward. When we meet again, we'll have a presentation of our experience with the ADMS. Thank you.
Thanks, Abhijit ji.
So good morning everyone. I am representing Tata Power Delhi Distribution Limited. So you have a partner actually from utility. Okay. From the morning, so the subject was about ADMS. So I would like to mention that we are one of the utilities in India who have been using this for the last 8 years. So in the technology adoption part, my most interest is in adoption part of it, and I will just give a brief how we have traversed this journey and where we face the challenge. You have mentioned very important points, so I will take it from there. Yes, when the product came, so you are as good as, how you use the product. The product itself cannot, come out of the screen and hold your collar and make you do things. So the journey has been, when the product came in, so the benefits, you in a single screen, you have the entire landscape from all voltage levels on the fly, your reliability indices. You can customize many things. You can, put thresholds. But in any utility, there would be broadly two types of journeys. One is the customer journey, that is how customer is interacting, and your internal processes. So the customization started with integrating our IVRS, which helped save a lot of calls. Handling calls is pretty costly in India and elsewhere as well. So concentrating on that. Then of course the GIS was integrating with your field force automation system, even the battery energy storage system, and then bringing WhatsApp into the equation. So everybody loves a one-touch complaint, how it flows into your system. Now the AMI has also come, so I don't know whether it's by God's grace or design, the two people who I really want to talk to each other are on this platform. So I'll in the next phase take forward, so all these customizations, yes, they are there. I would request the OEMs to learn what we have done and integrate it, take the backhaul into their system and make it a more robust one. The second point that I would like to say is these customizations come at a cost as well, because you are actually trying to, retrofit things which are not good from one performance point of view and secondly cybersecurity point of view. So those are important things which we'll take further. So we are talking about digitization and digitalization. I would say we are at a stage of digitalization. The next big step is digital transformation, where you exponentially change the way you have been doing things, reimagine things, challenge the status quo. For that, it is very important that the bringers of new technology are in constant touch with each other, because the value that you can generate in a price sensitive market like India, it's about what value you generate. You cannot just rest on your laurels that you have brought a product, one day or other someone will catch up with you. So that's the way forward. And going forward, I would like to describe few of the challenges we have been facing. AMI is one of the big area. We are moving from outage management to probably outage prevention. The sensors and the 5G IoT devices that is coming our way is going to change the way you handle utility and bring a lot of value to the customers. So that's how I see it. Thanks.
In fact, Sombuddha ji, you have rightly mentioned a very important trigger that one size fit for all approach won't work. So it has to be a level of customization, or I'll say to at what degree it is being done, that also need to be taken into consideration. Though we just adopt the technology from the global end, but think global and act local. It is equally important. So Abhishek ji, your view please.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my colleagues here have talked about what is the single most important objective of ADMS. Okay, so any investment like these ADMS is not a short-term investment, and it's not a single-use investment. So whenever utilities invest in such kind of technologies, they have a long view, long-term view. And when you talk about long-term, maybe operational effectiveness and efficient operation is no longer the only objective of having such systems. So what I'm saying is, we are looking forward to a horizon where the complete distribution model is going to change, and that we see as a mirror in, say, Europe or American markets. I'm talking about distributed system operation. Now the Discoms, as we know today in India, I mean, I was a part of Discom in Delhi earlier. We are seeing a lot of influxes and a lot of changes which reflect that the way we operate needs to change. We need to adapt. We need to see what is going to happen in future. Few examples. Maybe 10 years ago, you don't have customers who were actually giving you electricity. Prosumers were not there. They were absent. The demand was kind of, I mean, even those days, demand prediction was a very, very hectic task. And now you have variability in the demand. The production is there embedded inside your distribution grid, your demand forecasting becomes more challenging. Two-way challenge. I mean, the Discoms procuring variable renewable energy from outside the grid, supply side variability. Challenges are, and these were expected because the way we are going towards decarbonization. And I understand that the decarbonization and digitalization are the two faces of the same coin, because the way we cannot, digitalize without considering the decarbonization goal. So when you say there are two important goals, one is the transition to the DSO, which we can talk about later, and how ADMS helps in that. It prepares you for that. It helps you in giving you a real-time situational awareness of all the DERs embedded in your system. Number one. Number two, it helps you in deep decarbonization of the grid. So the Discoms, obviously, I mean, we have been talking about RPO compliant, but that is not the only way to decarbonize. You need to talk about 24/7 decarbonization, 24/7 renewable attributes, or I am indicating towards granular certificates, minute by minute, tagging and tracking whether this is happening or not, whether your entire minute, every minute is green or is having some carbon component. So those things cannot be done without ADMS. So if you increase the number of use cases for ADMS, obviously my friends were saying it's very costly, I mean the regulators might not allow the cost. If you have multi-use cases for the ADMS, definitely it becomes usable, obviously, and operational effectiveness and efficiency being the core usage of this particular technology. I am not going into the deep technological terms. My colleagues have already talked about. Yeah, so with this I'll end my talk. Yeah.
Thanks Abhishek ji. Dr. Shivani, your quick view on ADMS
Yeah.
and its current status of penetration in Discom. As you are from the industry, so you can give a better insight, and you can play a devil's advocate role here as well.
Thank you for that nice role that you've defined for me, Amith. And thank you everybody for having me here. So we belong to the technology, the integration and the solution part. So, gone are the times when we were talking of large renewables, we were talking of green corridors, transmission planning and so on. Now we have come to a stage where we have new players in each of the distribution utility pockets. So you have EV, you have battery, you have small distributed energy resources, you would have microgrid, EV charging infrastructure and so on. Now as we go through this journey of deep electrification as well as deep decarbonization, we are adding more and more capacity as well as more and more complexity into the system. So, as a distribution utility, integrating ADMS would essentially lead us to meeting two major requirements. One is the situational awareness, which is very important when you talk of live working grids. And the second one is operational confidence. When you are implying technology solutions, you are implementing ADMS, is it actually operational? I mean, climate change is not something which will come 10 years later, right? For those of you in Delhi, you have seen the air index. Schools were made online and it's right on our face. So you would see outage due to, say, forest fires, due to a cloud, due to dropping temperatures and so on. So how do we handle it? So that redundancy, reliability again becomes very important, where we have to have a deep delve into the kind of technologies that are getting integrated and what are the characteristics. How are they different from the conventional ones? So from the transmission, we are protruding towards the distribution utility, where the state estimations, the power quality and all those aspects become really very, very important. And as a, I would say, as now since I am a devil's advocate, I have to summarize that as a good ADMS system, it should be stronger. When we say stronger, the utilities should be able to transfer more power through it. Stronger as in you should have less losses. It has to be smarter, where you have a very good visibility of the kind of assets you have into your system. You know what equipment is placed into your distribution network. And let me tell you, as a power system analyst also, we do face this challenge that once, we think of integrating ADMS, we think of looking at what's the present health. The basic thing of the data, the number of transformers you have, the number of conductors you have into your system is also to be known. which is, the first step for implementing a very good ADMS system. And at the same time, it has to be greener as well, where we are trying to transfer more power, but more of renewable power. We are trying to have more energy efficiency and lesser carbon footprints as well. So, any new technology, any new solution that we are trying to implement, it also has to ultimately result into the sustainability aspect of it. So stronger, smarter, greener would be, my keywords added with the situational awareness and operational confidence. So I think we discuss more as we go through rest of the pointers. Thank you.
Thanks, Shivani. And Vikramji, to be very specific, my personal request to you while answering on this question, take your experience or real experience from the EMA days, or I'll say National Executive Council member days, to this Siemens days. Just give a comprehensive or a concluding view on this discussion on ADMS and its current penetration, its usability as a decision support system, grid modernization we are talking about.
Yeah, thank you, Amith. So, you want me to give some concluding remarks? So, I would start with this, that the world around us has become digital. We have no choice but to follow and give the latest technologies to the people who are manning the grids, yeah? Whether it is transmission or whether it is distribution. The money will come in from distribution. The distribution utility will always have the hammer of the regulator. They will not be allowed to invest the way they would like. However, there is a difference between the utilities. Now, there are two or maybe two and a half, I would say, Abhishek was already there, excellent utilities who have shown how technology can touch the lives of a common person and bring improvement to that. However, the same system which I have supplied to, say, Tata in 2007 was also supplied to a government utility. Tata, I can say, used it not 100%, maybe 150% of the capabilities. Same is the case with BSES when we did it in, I think, 1998. It was never expected that the system would be used to what they actually took the juice out of that system. But at the same other end of the spectrum, I have supplied to other utilities where the processes were not there, the people were not ready, and what would happen? The same product which is working in BSES or Tata, in another government utility, it will be closed, shut down at 5 p.m. because the person has to go home. Yeah? So what can technology do if you don't change the people or the processes? So very fundamentally, it has to be across the board that yes, the good news is that we are changing, as not as we here, but even the people who are there in the grid, because younger people, they want to prove something, they want to do more, and they also, want to showcase. You heard Mr. Manu Srivastava say that what good work some people have done in MP, and that is happening, but not at the same pace. So what hurts OEM like Siemens or me when I've come across this is that in spite of our best efforts, when we deliver a system which is compliant to whatever the wishes of the end customer, if the person who is manning that never uses it, then it is the worst demotivating factor that we can have, and it will besides that, it is a national resource which is getting wasted. So my humble submission is that it should not be looked at only in one aspect in terms of a product or technology, but overall we have to see how to make use of the technology so that it benefits not you and maybe Abhishek or Sombuddha and Mr. Patil, but the person who is there, who is paying the bill. Yeah. How do we improve the quality of supply? How do we make it economical? So that is our test. That's what I would like to say.
I can't agree for more, Vikramji. In fact, you rightly pointed out what Abhijit ji mentioned. Sachin Tendulkar with a mere MRF bat cannot score a century. The player has to be properly trained. So one of the takeaway from this brief discussion so far we had, skill plus tool plus training. which will make a outcome. That's one of the takeaway. So let's go deeper down in session. So Vikramji, I want ask you to put off the mic. My next question to you with how ADMS enable a transition of a Discom, since you have mentioned a Discom, to a distribution management, distribution system operation, a perfect DSO. Because all of us, we want to see the Discom 2 as a DSO.
So I think that is the question for the three of them. But let me go to the other side. I am a consumer. Yeah, all of us are consumers. What is that we want from a Discom? We want power should be available 24/7. It should be of the right quality. Voltage should not be low, and it should not, cost the sky. Very simple needs. And where is that the Discom, the touch point? The touch point is only two touch points. One is when the power goes off, and one when you have to pay the bill. Yeah. Now, when coming to power paying the bill, then this DMS system's role is a little limited. But when we are talking about power not being available or power being always available of the right quality, that is where the role of DMS comes. And that is a phenomenal tool which is available, which can be exploited to the way, there is no limit to provide this, so that the consumer in me is always satisfied that yes, my utility is the best. And whenever, when do you remember a utility? Only when the power goes off, right? So you should never remember a utility, or maybe there should be some good message which should come from my utility to me that, oh, yes, we are still alive, we are still there. Yeah. So that is where tools like digital tool like DMS have a role to play. Yeah. Thank you.
So Abhishek ji, even all the utility people don't take it on heart. It's not a thankless job you guys are doing. We all appreciate. Though we remember you only on 2 instances when the power goes off or we have to pay a bill, but you are always 24/7 in our heart and mind. So Abhishek ji, I'll directly jump over to you on the same question which I flagged to Vikram ji.
Yeah, thanks. To add to what Vikramji has already said, all the points are very much valid. But now, what are the two other things what the consumers need? One is we are looking forward to more democratization of electricity. So they need more partnership in how the system is managed, operated. Equal partners, not like we are sitting at the end, getting a bill at the end of the month and we are obligated to pay as a consumer. No. B is I am also wanting to color my electricity. I want green. The green open access is already there. For example, in our country, the regulations are already in place, guidelines are in place. A national open access, portal was also inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister very recently. So anybody, a consumer like me, can go there and say that I want so much green power, 100% green power. As I was saying, 24/7 also, that will come later on. Blockchain comes into, and that's get married to ADMS. Later on, it's going to happen. We will see those innovations happening. So when you talk about DSO, you are enabling consumers. They are becoming your co-partners in managing the system. They are also determining what kind of color of electricity needs to be procured. Apart from that, unthinkable, they will support through ancillary means or ancillary services to the TSO. Power Grid sir is sitting over here. So TSOs or Grid India may demand that why don't the DSO provide me voltage support or maybe reactive power support and or demand support, ancillary services basically. So the consumer, the end consumer is partnering with the DSO and the DSO is partnering with the end consumer to provide support to the TSO. This is what I'm talking about. And this cannot be achieved without any advanced DMS or systems like these, which are giving you a real-time situational awareness. And as Shivani ji was saying, the complexity of the grid is increasing, right? So you can't expect people sitting in the SLDC or Discom's load dispatch center to manually control these things. These all will be, just to give you one brief example, SLDCs cater to or interact with maybe 10, 12 grid integrated utilities, okay, Gencos and Discoms. But the DSO is going to interact with thousands and lakhs of such prosumers. You have so many EV charging systems which are G2V, V2G. You are having so many rooftop solar systems which are now must run, but very soon they will be expected to provide ancillary service to the grid. That must-run thing is going to go away. Pilots are going on anyway. So I'll conclude here, yeah.
Abhijit, I'll jump to you for your quick insight. So, like we are talking about the smart metering, we are talking about EVs, we are talking about the IoT systems, they are in place. So how this integration of all these systems, or if I'm forgetting any other system, you can count on that also, that will be kind of a boon and be an input to the ADMS to make it is much more beneficial. What's your quick?
Getting AMI data into SCADA system has never been tried before, because AMIs, I think, meters communicate on DLMS, so directly data cannot be brought in. It has to be brought in through intermediary application. As on today, load flow applications work upon historical data, and historical data is updated only once and twice a year. If you bring in the AMI data directly into the system, say at the delay of 15 or 30 minutes, that will hugely improve the accuracy of load flow and your network model. And that will definitely be beneficial for future studies and affect directly the reliability of the supply. That is one part. The second part is my ABT accuracy. As on today, AML's ABT accuracy is 99.5% for day ahead forecasting. And the percentage of DER that we have, data availability of DER directly will improve my forecasting, and definitely will have an effect on my balance sheet. So that will be all from my side.
Thanks, sir. So, Santoshi, my next question to you, in fact, you abruptly ended the last discussion on grid modernization. So, to all our audience, just share us with.
So we need to think about how these all data are being converged, and definitely we cannot stay in our lane. Right now, as a grid operator or grid controller, whatever you call, we were earlier seeing the parameters like voltage, frequency and all. Now we need to think about the transportation chain also, because it is ultimately will be affecting due to electric vehicle, EV charging infrastructure, this all will come. And again, geospatial shifts of generator plus generator, or you can say producers also, because rooftop solar are producers only. Load and producers are changing. So whenever we are having the complete visualization, it will be an ongoing process, because grid modernization is cannot have the one definite definition in one era, because right now we will be saying that current grid is basically not the transactive grid. Once it happens, that means the end consumer is able to share the pain with the grid operator or grid controller, then that might be happening. So definitely lot of things are there, and many transition is happening. So whenever you are having the visualization, I will tell you some word. We need not to think about the complexity. We need to think about the simple steps. Whenever any utility is connecting, because whenever some system is coming in picture, we are giving the first time charging approval to them. So at that stage, we are asking them their SLDs and their datas, and once their data is being synchronized at our RLDC level, then only we give them consent for charging that line or taking in service that element. So if at all you are following the simple steps like taking data beforehand, then only it is possible, because ultimately it is connecting your grid, and at the grid level you are having that visualization, and because of that you can control the grid. Not only you need to carry out the check on the voltage and frequency, you need to carry out the things which are coming from all direction, that is 360-degree approach. So we need to think about that, those approaches, and definitely once the communication is happening between generation and consumers, whether it is system operation or market operation, that means they can have the peer-to-peer trading that Abhishek sir has told, that blockchain will come in picture definitely. So as and when these all layers are being added, many centralized layer or in-between layers are being diminished. So that is my take. So definitely it's an ongoing process and it will continue.
I appreciate Santoshi. In fact, like to share an insight. During this COVID days, when the COVID was at very high peak, one of the discussion with the Ministry of Health, they asked that let's prepare a oxygen grid to ensure a sustainable supply of oxygen across India. And I take a proud for those 5 minutes specifically when everyone was asking that what could be the possible analogy we can adopt. And the answer came at electricity grid. If electricity grid can do this for pan India, let's adopt that strategy for making this oxygen grid supply in India. And finally, it was adopted. So as a sector guy, it's a big responsibility on us towards this grid modernization. And I'll say, happy to share your views. You would like to add something on this?
One thing
yeah,
I
please.
would like to add. You were talking about the oxygen generators, right?
Oxygen grid.
Oxygen grid. At that time, we were having the visualization of oxygen generator plant also in our grid. So that way also we took care.
So though across India, power sector guy can be underrated, I'll say, but we have significant contribution and impact. So Neeraj, your view on grid modernization?
So, as you asked just where will it end up, so it's a never ending because the challenges day by day will keep on changing and you have to find for the solutions for the present day challenges and the challenges we might come in the future. So it's an ongoing journey, but when we say grid modernizations, and so we have some key driving factors which are compelling us to modernize the grid. Okay, so you see our infrastructure is aging, so some of the infrastructure is quite old. At the same time, our demands is increasing, so the equipments already there, they are not adequately capacity, they don't have adequate capacity. So this is one of the reason why we are compelled to for the grid modernizations. Second, obviously the renewable generations, so renewable penetration is there. And we are talking about EVs also. So EVs will again impact in a two way. First, they are a load point. So we have to see our infrastructure is capable enough to support those load. And those will, those will come like anything that day because this is uncontrollable. You cannot say that it will be planned because it's directly public. They will be going to buy the EVs, right? So where the load will increase, so we should be ready for that. And second point, EVs, that is still in the conceptual phase. In the future, when we see and when our policy and regulation will allow us, so those EV can be, as a power source as well. Okay, there is a vehicle to grid. So that will again a challenge, right? And we are already talking about our discoms are in losses. So there are AT&C losses, there are gaps in the cost of supply and the recovery. So all these factors are compelling us to modernize the grid. And so it is inevitable. We have to adopt the technology and modernize the grid. For instance, we forget the technology. We say we are doing fine and we have a better efficiency than the technology. But after some time, our ecosystem will collapse and then one day we will not be able to catch up. So this is also important to use technology and adopt so the future will remain relevant to adopt newer technology. So,
You rightly mentioned this. Before taking a next step, ensure the last foot is on the ground. So that's very important. So Chaudhury ji, I'll come to you on this specific case. Like we are talking about grid modernization, we are talking about technology, digital things. So how this innovation can be done in this outage management thing? What's your view? Because that is very important for the sector and is the need of the hour in India.
Yeah, thanks for this juicy half volley. So I am prepared for this question. So before I go ahead, you asked a very important question that where is the end? So I can tell you there is no destination for this. This is absolutely a journey and you are bound by your imagination. So I'll give you 2-3 examples, where you can integrate ADMS with what. You can integrate ADMS with even your HR database where you have marked their competencies so that you do not allow someone who is not competent enough to operate on your system. So that's the level of detailing you can go to. So you are bound by whatever you can think. So we have integrated our microgrid system, our battery energy storage system that we have created. We operate it. So there are many integrations, but I'll come to the downside of it or what we need to do going forward. Now let's take the outage management journey, right? So say 50 years ago, if there was power at least, so people didn't expect power to be there, but let's take the hypothesis that there was an outage, right? So what one had to do, one had to go to their nearest, say, power supply center or office and register a complaint with no visibility of who is going to come, when is going to come, and at all, even if someone is going to come. Then we set up call centers, right? So there, the way was you called up. There were a lot of, clogs also there, but let's take those out of the equation. So you called up this. Called up someone else who is going to attend, and this was being attended, right? Then came the system of digitally trying to convey your or register your complaint, which saves a lot of time. Then came the system of if your area is already under an outage, when you can understand when your GIS system, your mapping system has improved, and your ADMS system, you have integrated with your whatever outage management system or distribution management system you have. So if there was any notified outage, you get an SMS or you get, through IVRS, they tell you that the ETA is around 3 hours. And so we have reached to this level, right? So till now, it's a very, you have to call to get the information, either way. So what next from here? Now you have, say, smart meters, right? So I'll give you 2 figures, park these figures into mind. In any call center or any call management system, typically 40 to 60% of the calls are for power outages, right? Huge chunk. The second part is, for distribution, people will know, when we end up at the house of the consumer, we find that the problem is behind the meter. Right, so around that the figure is around 25% to 30% depending on how good or bad the wiring in the locality is. These are big figures. Now once you have a smart meter, wouldn't it be foolish to expect the customer to call you? Because you can get the signature. So there are 2 things called last gasp. When your meter is out of power, it can send a signal, and when it is again in power, it can send a signal that I am into the circuit. So if you have that system and an ADMS and a GIS system, and these 2 systems talk to each other, the customer doesn't have to call. Firstly, your turnaround time increases. Imagine the amount of deloading that's going to happen on your customer care center. Taking it for, now you can say that then it may take a lot of time, right? So that the smart meter penetration has to be enough to reap the benefits of this. If you do it at the distribution transformer level, that's one signal, right? So mass call can come when, when there is a mass outage, the transformers are off. That can be done. That will actually save you of the prediction logics that you are running. So that's an easy solution, easier said than done. So there is where Mr. Gandotra and you have to talk to each other, because this is a doable solution. We have tried, we have faced challenges. Another thing is, if you have a system which can ping the meter and see actually the meter is on or not, then you save the 25-30% of the labor or the visits that you are doing now, because you cannot do anything behind the meter. So this is the immense possibility. And again, when the 5G storm is going to come and when you have sensors, then you don't actually have to let the supply go off. So that's the transition I was talking about, from outage management to outage prevention. Right? If there is a transformer leakage, if you have configured your system enough that it has gone down, you are looking at a potential fault, or a temperature of a certain terminal has gone beyond a certain point. You're looking at a potential fault, but still it's not there. So now the problem that we have faced is, sir, good news for you is, yes, it is doable, but the problem is because it has so many systems, the communication, the head-end system, the MDM, and then going into, please let your systems talk to each other and let us have a happy life. The timings of that becomes a problem. You do not accept first breath, he sends it right away. So the fight is between you, I'm going to reap the benefit of it.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
I'll just, I think, just I would like to add, because you earlier asked some AMI to that. So first thing is, you asked that there is, we don't see any AMI data into the SCADA part. So we can get that data into the SCADA, but it has no usefulness. Okay. So AMI has preliminary 3 key objectives. First is, of course, the billing data, billing cycle. So it's achieving, that is one purpose for AMI. Second, one AMI is being used or can be used or should be used is the outage management, what you just explained, AMI, and it is beneficial over the call system in many senses. And third part is you have any kind of protection for the, any tampering or over voltage or under voltage, so connection, disconnection issues. So SCADA, the data can be brought to SCADA very easily. So that's not the objective. It's not solving any purpose, any problem. And your question, when you told that you have to find the solution for something. See, when we talk about the outage management, so primarily we have right now 3 key ways to handle the outage or declare the outage. One is the SCADA part, and second is the call system, and third is the AMI system, right? So distribution network is so big that you cannot implement SCADA everywhere, right? That's why this IVRS and the AMI system comes into the picture. So if you have already a SCADA implemented in your DT, it is monitored, then it will not do prediction, because whenever SCADA does, it does a confirm outage. When in case of AMI and the calls, when lot of incidents are happening, then the system has to do prediction because of so many calls and the AMI, whether this is a single customer impact or it is a bulk outage or all those kind of things. So that is the one way. It is already telemetered, so that is not required anymore. It will give you the confirm outage, and it will not think of prediction how many consumer went downside this. Second, probably the same smart meter, if can be put at the higher level, so it will also solve the same purpose. Like we have an industrial customer, we have a residential customer. So this solution is available. It is how we implement. So it does not require any new, innovation. At least what I think as of now. But we are open. We can discuss that.
The point is, as practitioner of this, again,
right.
there comes the thing. Yeah. There comes the big fight.
Yeah.
That we have and it's our problem as well. We have over the years innovated around your system. But probably we have not gone to you and told that these are the things. There might be some, electricity industry mostly is a homogeneous industry. We have our own share of problems, own share of challenges, which are same in nature, different in dimension, different in magnitude. That might be the case.
Right.
So the point I'm trying to make, and I'll conclude at that, is with the new technologies coming in, it was done at certain point of time, and there is no problem that it might not be completely integrable or completely tightly coupled with each other. But time has come that the 3 vertices of the new technology coming in, the existing technology, and the people who have been using it over a period of time, that we come together and refine the things, not only upgrade in terms of the software or the hardware part of it, but the usability part of it as well. That's the point I'm trying to make.
So important takeaway is the collaboration among all the stakeholders. So in fact, to be very candid, as a moderator, I'm on, I'll say, cloud 9. The kind of a discussion we have with the finance brain, starting from, I'll say, meters first breath to talking about the grid modernization, I could not have expected anything more than this. I'm really pleased. So Vikramji, we are concluding this, and from each of the panelists, I'll be asking a concluding remark. And just a takeaway is this, that it is mentioned that destination, of course, it is quite far, But destination is important. It is equally important, the journey. So I want you to have a concluding remark on this. And now we have the solution of the problem. The funding is available. The magnanimous scheme of RDSS with a 3 lakh crore. I sometimes forget to count the number of zeros in 3 lakhs crore. It's a huge. So I don't think that any of us should have any complaint now about the funding thing. And we should be on the right path to reach out to our destination. So starting with you, Vikramji.
Well, absolutely. So I go back to my initial point only. दूल्हा तैयार है क्या? हम लोग तो तैयार हैं. So till the utility is ready and to take this journey in the right spirit, yeah, to the end conclusion, we will always remain skeptical. Yeah. And as far as collaboration is concerned, I am reminded way back in I think it was 1984 or 1985, Maharashtra system was one which was one of the first state load dispatch center, and there was one system from ABB that time and one from Siemens. And similar sort of problem what you are was there. So ultimately what happened was that the customer gave 1 month to both Siemens and ABB and said, I'm going to lock the two of you in one room and you have to come out with a solution and make it work. And okay, it never went down to locking the room, but yes, we made it work, and that was the first, different makes of system. And that time there was no IEC also. They were all proprietary protocols, proprietary hardware. Siemens had its own mainframe computer. ABB had its own mainframe computer, which was running these shows. So everything is possible. Yeah, it is only a matter of the right definition and right intention. Yeah. And of course, there is always a cost attached to it. We are from the power industry, we are not from the IT or the consulting industry. We don't have double-digit or 3-digit profits. We work on very, very minor margins, but allow us those very minor margins. That is a request which I have to all our customers. Yeah, otherwise we will, if one the day, if we don't earn enough for our salaries for our people, nobody will come and join us. They will all go to IT industry. Then what will happen to the utilities? The digitalization will fall on its face. So please be a little patient with the companies, OEMs. We have a lot of responsibility on our shoulders and we do our best to fulfill your requirements. Thank you.
Thanks, Vikramji.
Okay, so I would take it ahead from what Vikramji said, ke Dulha tayar hai. So we all know, being Indians, that how much it takes to reach till the Vidai stage. So, I would say synergy and seamless integration are the two key aspects that we have to focus on. And as Abhishek ji said that, there will be more digital transformations that are going ahead. Sombuddha ji said that how the technologies are supposed to talk between each other. And in fact, I remember in September, we were in Tata Power's training session with utilities across the nation. And even the social angle is now getting added. When we talk of outage as a power system, as an electrical engineer, it's very important. But also the public kiosk can happen. When you receive an SMS that bill bhar do, nahi to power kaat denge 2 ghante ke andar. So that is also one kind of social chaos, a social angle that added. And while Santosh ji said that it's a continuous process, I would totally advocate the same, that it is a continuous process, it's a continuous integration. And as customers now, we do have the flexibility, the power to derive insights from different multi-cloud diverse data sets, being much aware of what's going around and doing the best that is possible, which would again change into every particular situation. Say you are a industrial setup, you have a campus, you have a very good renewable, you would do a very good setup, and when you are utilizing the power, the cost and so on. Come a day that there's a football match in a nearby stadium, you would have to incorporate that there will be more people staying, there could be more EV vehicles parked in your parking lots. So how do you prepare for that? As utilities, I would say that, distribution utilities still have to gain a lot more importance because they have aged. It's very important to see the kind of asset health that is existing. the kind of proactive measures, the predictive maintenance that we could do, and what are the priorities so that we do ultimately get a redundant and a reliable system. So synergy, seamless integration, having a situational awareness and a operational confidence is something that we as eminent stakeholders have to work between, and it is all a combination of different technologies, different possibilities and different solutions. So that would be my optimistic outlook on this, Amith. Thank you.
In fact, I would, before jumping to Dula, I'll say that let's be all committed that Dula bhi taiyar rahe aur Barati bhi taiyar rahe, then only we can have a successful marriage. And I'll give a better analogy, like it's a FIFA World Cup time. So this is important is to score a goal. It does not make a difference who gave a pass to whom. Important is who scored the goal, or the goal has to be scored. So let's target to score the goal. So Abhishek ji, your concluding remark.
Yeah, very quickly, thanks. So the regulated discoms in our country need a conducive signal or conducive environment to embark upon or actively participate in this distribution modernization. ADMS is a part of an enabler for it. Now we need to understand that what is the composition of this in terms of the ARR or the cost of a discom. So it's hardly 20%. 80% is the power purchase cost. So that is why one of the reasons which I see and my experience in the discom tells me that this is not so much looked after. So chal raha hai kaam, theek hai, chalne do. Okay. But now, what are the enablers which are already there? And the past few years, we have seen that happening. And that's why I'm very optimistic this is going to kickstart. Draft NEP last year recognized what is DSO. They mentioned it in the NEP, National Electricity Policy. The draft IEGC regulation, which is there on the table under discussion with Honorable CRC, it talks about involving demand response as a part of your demand planning. Okay, this is a very big statement. It is not there earlier. Supply planning, we are talking about involving embedded distributed energy resources in various regulations, draft regulations, documents, guidelines issued by the government. Now, when the utilities are going green, they are reducing their power purchase cost. What does it mean? It excites me. Why? Because the component of the distribution cost is going to increase in the overall ARR bouquet. And then it is going to get the attention of the kind attention of the regulators, state regulators. Therefore, I am very optimistic, and this is going to go a long way from this side.
Chaudhury ji, your concluding remark. You ignited this debate.
Thanks. So, thanks. I have got a lot more intelligent and I've got a lot of information of areas that I'm not very aware of. So, I'll take it from here. So, आप दूल्हा लेके आए हैं, ये बाराती लेके आए, मैं घोड़ा लेके आया हूँ. So, the point is that you cannot imagine this as a zero-sum game now. It can only take off as technologies if the value is much beyond, this ROI things and all. And when there is value, customers, you do not know where the next disruption is coming from. If the storage improves, tomorrow you may have a self-powered bulb. हमारी तो दुकान चली जाएगी. So, customer orientation, customer involvement, engagement, Tata Nexon and Tata Power are two different things. Nexon सब कोई देखते हैं 10 मिनट लेके, Power कोई नहीं देखता, जब तक बिजली जाती है तब देखते हैं. So let's not, get into petty things. It's a big world and you can think any way you have the technologies for it. It's again how you use it. Finally.
That's good.
So I think most of the things are already said. So what I will just say is digital transformation for utilities and energy transition is inevitable. We have to go through this. And the solution of 80% of the problem is already existing. So what we need a process, a mindset, skill building to implement those so that basic minimum are homogeneously implemented everywhere. And for rest 20% will keep on struggling, innovating, integrating all those things. So I think that is a big gap right now. There are extremes existing. There will be some matured utility who are like discussing, they are trying a lot of things. but there are utilities which have, still don't exist the basic SCADA system. And there will be utilities whose AT&C losses are under, a single digit, maybe under 10, and there will be utilities which are over 50%. So I think we need an intent to implement at least the basic technology which are available throughout the country, throughout the utilities. So that's my one point.
Very interesting topic is going on. Basically, दूल्हा की सबने बात कर ली, दुल्हन की किसी ने बात नहीं की. तो I would come to the point. It is like interoperability या 36 गुण मिलना. So basically, whenever any technology evangelist is preparing some model, they should think big and they should think on the common lines so that this interoperability or intercommunication should happen. And again, I will talk one another thing, that is blockchain also, because currently as grid operator, we are working in a permissioned environment. And when you come to Discom, it is a permissionless. So that way, and again, in our field, in our grid operator level, we don't need that much scale. But at Discom level or consumer level, you need to have scalability. So you can, as I earlier told, कि there are most of the learnings available at grid level. That means outage management also you are talking about. We are having a portal wherein the constituents can put the outage and we can see, and online everything is happening in our grid. And secondly, visualization also. We are having a larger visualization than we are aspiring for that, because we are not only having SCADA, we are having the faster signals phasor measurement unit, we are having wide area monitoring system also. So whenever something happens in the grid, even if your signals are not coming in from that particular substation, within that area some parameters are changing, our graph is getting changed, and whenever big thing is happening, it is reflecting in our frequency, we are having that frequency also. And angular difference monitoring also we are doing. So whenever there is a larger stress between two control areas or something, that also we are sensing at grid level. So all systems are in place, just borrow the learnings from there. And again, if I am not talking about RE, then my discussion will be because currently you cannot imagine at 6 o'clock we are having zero power. I am talking about only northern region, right? You can transfer it on the Indian level, right? At 6 hours we are having 0 megawatt. At 8 hours we are having round about 6,000 megawatt RE generation. Okay, and 8 hours we are having, at 10 hours we are having 10,000 or 12,000 megawatt. So you can imagine that ramping rate is very high. Sometimes it goes to 4,000 megawatt per hour even. And in that case, the grid parameters are deteriorating like anything. At real-time condition, if a substation is having voltage of 765 kV, it might go up to 730 kV also. It's very difficult. To control those parameters, to control those loadings, we are switching in the reactive power, and you will not be able to imagine that 6,000 to 10,000 MVR we are switching in and out to control this ramping rate. Otherwise, the whole system is collapsed, because RE power, you know that it is in the particular pockets only, evacuation corridor is very less, and also it is in the transitioning stage. So all the constituents are not able to implement that LVRT and HVRT functioning also. So sometimes they are also failing somewhere, and if at all some voltage goes down, then they isolate themselves, and again the generation loss is there and cascading will happen. So that way we need to adapt according to RE power. Basically, renewable energy is the youngest child of power sector, and it is the most troubling child also. But talented also, because it is the advanced version. So that way our outage perspectives are also changing. now we are granting outages in the solar area in the non-solar time and in the other area in the solar time. So basically we need to adapt according to the conditions, and that's why I told that it's an ongoing process and grid is dynamic, and daily you will find a new grid. So that way you have to adapt and you have to give away the standard operation philosophy. You need to generate and innovate the new philosophy and think big. On one fine day, Saudi Arabia can beat Argentina also. So that way, those who are digital evangelists, they should think 10 years from now and try to beat Argentina. Everybody will be able to beat Argentina. Thank you.
Taking ahead the analogy of wedding going on, दूल्हा दुल्हन और बाराती ये सब मिलके एक शादी होती है. So ADMS should not be looked in isolation as a single product. It is an collaboration. It is a you can say it is a ecosystem of maybe outage management system, field crew management system, your fleet management system, and that may not come from a single family or single OEM. So integration is a challenge, and one important link that we have missing in our discussion is the communication service provider. As you go ahead, as your systems mature, the communication dependency is going to increase, and we do not have the stringent accountability standards for communication service provider. Just 98% of reliability for communication service provider, that too excluding power system failure. That is not the way we are looking at. We expect the power system reliability of 99.9%, and for communication system we are only specifying at 98%. That has to be looked into, and these are the forums where communication service providers are also need to be brought on board, and they have to be made aware of their responsibilities as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Abhijit. And with this concluding remark, we are at the end of our panel discussion. As a moderator, it is my pleasure to hear out a wonderful discussion from the finest brains we have, and I hope that we'll be achieving our destination with a, I'll say, big gungo. Let's be collaborative with the industry, with all the stakeholders, and let's make it success. And thanks to Aayera team for having this panel discussion. Any question from the audience, we are happy to take it up. Yeah, please.
Hi, sir. So I'm very fortunate to have you all here. I hope my voice is clear. So we are seeing that behind the meters, most of the things are now rectifier based. You talk about generation, you talk about the utilization, all the gadgets, all the lighting, now the fans also BLDC. So are you seeing some disruption coming in terms of the distribution in the DC side or DC distribution? And second question is, what is your take on the virtual net metering and the P2P, peer-to-peer trading? So these are the two emerging dimensions or future. I would like your comments from the panel. Thank
you. In fact, this question is quite relevant to Discom people. So any of the Dula wants to reply on this?
Yeah, because see, all of you are connected and with this subject, so probably you have different views on this. The rectifier-based consumption now is increasing in all the spheres, whether it is lighting or fan or it is generation or even TV, what you're seeing here. So all the utilization is based on the rectifier-based gadgets. And second thing is we are also talking about the DER coming in. So everywhere you have this, even batteries also we are talking the coming to frame. So what is the take on this grid going towards the DC? That's one. And second thing is with the DER, you have multiple resources coming in. What is the future of virtual net metering and peer-to-peer trading from all the August panel? Thank you.
Can I answer?
Yeah, please, please.
I will answer your question involving the DC distribution. We have reached to a stage where the DC transmission is a reality. That is definitely been advantageous in transmission segment. But for distribution, there are some limitations, like the current carrying capacity, and there is a voltage regulation factor has to be factored in before the distribution. And AC is economical for long distance transportation of the energy. that way DC is not that way economical. Therefore, DC distribution might remain as a study area or R&D project only for at least next 10 years. But DC transmission, we can see a major jump in the population.
Point to make. So, I'm one of the last survivors of DC distribution system, which was there in Kolkata, and we made no attempts, we left no attempts to change them over to AC. Many of them were not willing. See, I don't see it. See, it changes. So it's not practically not feasible. Many of the problems he has said, and there are many others which will, in paucity of time, I cannot tell you. The problem that we see is with total harmonic distortion. There is no proper regulation to stop that, and it's going to get worse. Harmonic filter mathematics that we might have done, all electrical engineer people at one point of time, that is mathematics. So that's not there. In peer-to-peer, we tried something. I would say now is still not the best time. The number of participants, the rules for that, rules for the game. You have a fixed rate or dynamic rate. We tried it in a mock way. Yes, it's the future, but now is not the time. In going future, yes. Going in future, yeah. If you have the requisite numbers in an area for doing it, it's there.
Yeah, just to add, I mean, virtual net metering is already there, and you see Delhi was the first state to approve that as a regulation, and now in multi-states we have in India. Now, very recently, the Government of India Ministry of Power also said that the virtual net metering, the CFA or the Central Financial Assistance would be applicable to those participants who are being fed from the same distribution transformer, and there is a science behind it. So virtual net metering and any embedded, like for example, rooftop solar generation, if it is confined to a particular distribution substation, not only DT substation, but also the customers being served from that DT substation, it plays an important role in decongesting, and the network benefits of the solar accrue, and there is a science behind it. And that is the another thing which the utilities, apart from looking at it as a revenue loss proposition, they are looking into it. And that is a good thing which has happened. Now it's, VNM is already happening. I mean, if you are in Delhi, I mean, all the 3 Delhi Discoms, you apply for it and you will get it. And this is the way to solarize, and what the government in Delhi, the best I understand is using it to solarize the so-called not so privileged or underprivileged class of the consumers in the residential segment, and which is a more sustainable way of doing it. P2P is the next version of it. So when you do that, when you have a sizable threshold, as my colleague said, you then allow, okay, what to do with it? Whether you go ahead with a net metering solution, where you by default give it to the utility and get paid at a regulated rate at the end of the year, or you go for a 15-minute settled peer-to-peer trading. Okay, so that will come with a, and then I see a parallels at the IX level. So IX, the market depth is not there. I mean, 4%, right? You see the participation is not there. MBD is supposed to increase that to 20-25%. That is the question here at the local energy market. The P2P is going to evolve into the local energy market. That is one of the function of the DSO, distributed system operator. So that is the future of the VNM. We have already started that. So good news is we have already started that. No, so what I feel, this is my personal opinion. See, there are multi options or windows being provided by the regulators, by the government to the people to go green. Okay, so green open access regulation does not say that you can't demand the green electricity from your Discom only. It is also the possibility. So the Discoms can go ahead, and in fact now, a good question, green tariff is a new tariff category which has been approved by the, as per the guidelines, and they may be adopted by the respective SERCs. So it's no longer going to be socialized in your legacy PPAs. That is a very good policy decision, already happened, okay? So there is a competition. So the Discoms can offer you a competitive rate for your green electricity compared to you going for a green open access. So that is a balancing approach. So the government is providing all the kinds of enablers to all the stakeholders in an unbiased approach. So that's what, and that's how it should be.
Just taking it ahead on one of the points of harmonic being mentioned. So since we have utility stakeholders also over here, in the coming times, we may see that we may have to do certain policy benchmarking for the kind of harmonic levels that we have in our grids. And just to say that, presently our Indian technical connectivity standards, they mention to follow IEEE 5 and 9, where you have well-defined total harmonic distortions in terms of currents and voltages. But going further, as the amount of renewable and as the amount of rectifier and inverter-based resources are going to increase in the grid, the kind of harmonics they will inject, it has to be very carefully again analyzed with respect to the actual site measurements on what are the harmonics of your particular distribution utility. At the same time, we may also go back to the IEEE, to the GRIID standards and analyze that what order of harmonic is prominent, what actually damage is being done to the existing equipments, are we really doing the correct thing? Because initially we had rotating machines, motors with high harmonics, now we have VSDs, we have higher tolerance. So is it good to revise the limits? But that is again on a case-to-case basis, and once the amount of RE increases, this kind of policy benchmarking for the different distribution utilities would be very, very interesting. Thank you.
Thanks. And with this concluding remark, let's conclude today's session with a big round of applause for all the panelists.